You're live, darling.
Hi guys, just need a candle.
You're live on both.
Okay, do you think I could have a glass of water, please, darling? Hi everybody, we are go with the Moonology workshop, Moonology 2020 Diary workshop, bonus workshop. So if you have your copy, that's what we're doing here today. Unfortunately, as usual, for whatever reason, I cannot see the comments on Facebook, which is really a drag, because it means I'll have to respond to them. Thank you, darling. I'll have to respond to them afterwards. You think I can see them on there?
If you open your Facebook.
Oh, my husband's saying I should be able to see them on here. All right, well, let's try that. I mean, that's a bit weird. I'll be seeing myself doing a thing. Okay, there we go. Ah, great. I can see comments. Okay. All right. Thanks, darling. Okay, so we're here for about an hour and a half. I'm just giving people a chance to join in. If you bought the Moonology Diary 2020, you will have received your invitation, so hopefully you're tuning in. The diary is now sold out around the world. Actually, there was a reported sighting in, I think, St. Louis, Missouri. Someone said they found one in a bookshop, which then I think somebody else snapped up straight away. But if you do see any copies, there are still some copies in some of the smaller bookshops. You know, if you're lucky kind of thing, it can happen like that. Oh, hello. Okay, so we've got Monique. Hello. Gosh, yes, Monique's in Australia. Hi, Erica. Hi, Catalin. I did try and make this Australia friendly for once, because so often because I'm based in London right now, so often what happens is that I end up doing things that are like 3 o'clock in the morning for Australia. So this time around it's Australia friendly. So let me just give you actually let's start off by just having a few minutes of letting people arrive, and just for our entertainment, let me know where you're from, because that's kind of fun. Most people are not going to be from the west coast of America, because it's about 4 o'clock in the morning there. Let me see if I can see. Hello, my favourite moonologist, says Joanna de Assis. What an excellent name, Joanna. Yes, Monique, I'm so glad you got a copy too. Hi, Elaine. Can everybody hear me okay? Lala Angela Wang in Sydney. Hi, Lala. I have a friend I used to call Lala, actually. I still do call her Lala. All right, so let's start to get things going. There should be quite a few people here with us today. So all I do when I start something like this is my aim is to raise the vibration. So candles always raise the vibration. I don't know, they're just beautiful. I'll be giving you more information about how to do moon rituals today. But right now I'm just going to get started. Vera's in Sydney. Genevieve, hello. Susie, hello from Pennsylvania, USA. Hi from Northern Ireland, can hear you fine. Thank you. Hi. All right. So let me just, while people are getting here, let's see how many people we've got now. We haven't even got 100 yet. So let's wait till have we got 100? I don't know. Wait till we've got 100. Seems like a reasonable number, and then we'll go, because I think there's about 1,000 people registered. So if we get 10%, that would be good. Let me just take a moment while we're waiting for people to get online. Normally it's me that's late. To talk to all the Taurus and Taurus rising people. Did you see my little announcement yesterday? There's something exciting coming for Taurus and Taurus rising people. Any Taurians out there? Any Taurians out there? Let me know if you're out there. I wonder if I can actually open this up. So it's the only thing on my computer. Yes, I can. Still mastering the technology of Facebook 10 years later. Okay, let's see. So we've got, hi. Oh, so many people joining, great. We got Vera in Sydney, Wendy in Victoria, Now, how do I say your name? Can you write it phonetically for me? I just don't know. Kaim McAllanon. And you are in London. I don't know how to say your name. If you write it for me phonetically, I would love to read it. Carol in Georgia. Rosemary Foley Dubois. I love your name. From Emsworth, which I think is England. Karen Donnellan from south of Sydney. Sherry saying good morning. Marianne from Canberra. Gosh, Nova Scotia, UK, Canary Islands, Atlanta, Georgia. I was just in Nashville. It was amazing. Okay, Phillip Island. Gaynor is Taurus. Susan is Taurus. Joanna's boyfriend is Taurus. Hi from Brisbane. Chris Phillip. Hi Sarah from Taurus. Sarah from Taurus. I'm not sure what that means. Ginny. Oh, hi, Ginny. From West London. I know you, Ginny. Hello, Ginny. Ginny comes to my workshops. Actually, now's a good time to tell anyone in London I have a workshop coming up on March the 28th. And it's going to be an all-day workshop. And tickets are selling very fast. So grab your ticket before it sells out. Touch wood. And it's going to be at Conway Hall, and you can get all the details on the front page of my website, yasminboland.com. There's a big picture of me going like that, which was taken, for anyone who's in England, was taken at Shambhala Festival by a friend of mine, completely just spontaneously. I didn't say, let's do an amazing photo, but my friend Alex took it. He's a photographer, and I just went like that because, you know, that's how you feel at a festival. And he snapped a photo. It was a great photo. So now I just transpose it onto everything. Okay, I think we're going to get going in a minute. We have nearly 100 people, so we can say we have nearly 10%. People are still saying hello. One more second, quickly. My husband Olivier is watching from the kitchen. Hello, darling. Long Island. Hi, Gina. Someone in Portugal. Alina. All right, well, your boyfriend better tune in. So thank you. It's pronounced Queevna. Queevna. I mean, those Irish names are amazing, aren't they? It's like Siobhan, such a beautiful name as well. Queevna, beautiful name. Thank you, Queevna. Manira in Berkshire. Manira, you sent me a lovely email yesterday. Thank you. Christine from Margate, Melbourne. I pronounced your name right. That's great. Okay. All right, so I think we're going to get going now. Have we got? Yeah, we're over 100. I mean, I think we've done very well to allow people a bit of time to get here. And I'm actually going live on Facebook and Instagram privately for people who bought the diary. Here's the diary. So now, what are we going to do today? What are we going to talk about? Before I kind of get into the zone, I'm going to start with a little meditation. I just want to give you kind of a little rundown of exactly what we're going to be covering today. And I've created a little thing for myself to be able to use. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, which is very kind of, down to earth, is how to use the diary. And I'm just going to say, this is not a sales pitch. I'm just going to say that because I know we're all very conscious of getting pitched to constantly, because basically the diary is sold out anyway, and you should have the diary if you're watching this. So it's not a sales pitch. I just want to explain to you how the diary works so you can get the most out of it. Okay, so we'll be doing that. We're going to look at all the new and full moons of the year. And I'm going to give you a kind of a basic outline. And because you have the diary, you'll be able to understand how to use the information about where the new and full moons are, and how to kind of apply them to your life, how to work with the new and the full moon, basically. And it's for this year specifically in some ways, but in other ways, the information you're going to get today, you can apply for, the rest of your days, so to speak. We're also going to look at the eclipses and talk a little bit about why they are so important. We'll be talking about the overall themes of 2020. There are a whole lot of big astrological moments coming up this year. And I will say 2020 actually has actually has a lot of extremely positive astrology, okay? It's not always the case, and we did kick off with a pretty massive astrological configuration, which was Saturn conjunct Pluto about, I don't know now, 2-3 weeks ago, and an eclipse. So the year hasn't exactly started well for everybody, and I've been noticing a lot of people have been saying they're feeling either depressed or anxious. And, I would say that astrologically, that is to do with the fact that we've had this really intense astrology to start the year off, and now we're kind of like in the aftermath of it. Okay, so the SHIT has hit the FAN, and now we're kind of dealing with the fallout. If things are really easy astrologically, you could say there's an afterglow. But when it's been really difficult, which it has, the astrology for the start of 2020 was, could it be used constructively? 100%, yes, it could be used constructively. Was it potentially extremely challenging for the majority of people? 100%, yes, it was extremely challenging for the majority of people. Reason being that Saturn is a very slow-moving planet, and so is Pluto. So these two planets hardly ever meet up, okay? They meet up about every 30 years, I think it is. And Saturn takes about 30 years to go around the chart, so that would stand to reason. And when I say things like, I think, I should check because, maybe Pluto's move on the ecliptic, maybe it's 27 years or, whatever. But it's a rare thing. It's every few decades. And, the point is that when they meet up, there's going to be potential for problematic things to come to the surface to be dealt with, okay? That's basically it. There is going to be stuff coming up. Now, Pluto is the planet of eruption, okay? It's the planet of volcanoes and detox, but it's also the planet that if you think about, say, someone squeezing a pimple and the stuff goes everywhere, that's very Plutonian. It's like, out. It's disgusting and it's out. And Saturn is also the planet that makes us face facts, okay? So when you get these two planets together like this, which, as I said, it only takes place, I could look it up exactly, but I think it's fair to say about every 30 years. About every 30 years, you're going to get this time where we have to, Saturn, face facts, Pluto, about the crap we need to get out of our life. Does that make sense? And so, on the one hand, yay, it's all over because, it was difficult. On the other hand, it was difficult. And so now we have to deal with what's left, the aftermath. So that's why it's been difficult, plus exacerbating everything. We had the eclipse. So that's been the start of 2020. The good news is that for the rest of the year, it's going to be much easier. In fact, in 2020, we are getting some pretty lovely astrology, okay? I'll go into it later, but we're getting a lot of positive change. That's great. Can you hear the car alarm? We're going to get Jupiter sextiling Neptune. We're going to get Jupiter conjoining Pluto. And we're going to get Jupiter conjoining Saturn. I'll go more into it, but effectively, 2020 is a year when the energies are in our favour. I'm just going to look at this message here. I'm just going to get a message because I'm broadcasting on my phone. Okay, there we go. All right. So 2020 is a year that's kind of in our favour, which makes it a year to very much do the work, because when we're up against it like we were last year and like we will be again in the future, it's very difficult to do the work because we're just dealing with all the stuff in our lives, all the CRAP. I'm just not swearing because I don't want to offend anyone. And, you know, so when we're dealing with all the CRAP, it's difficult to, you know, do the spiritual work that can take us to the next level. But we don't have that excuse in 2020 because, in fact, the stars are very positive. So that's kind of, I'll go about more into that. The overall themes, how to make the most of the energies, I'll tell you. We're also going to, at some point in the next 90 minutes, I'll be using my oracle cards and I'll be doing a full moon spread for everybody who's watching this, okay? So if you're watching, it's for you and for me. We're going to do a full moon spread and I'm going to show you how to do them using my Moonology oracle cards. And I'll also, I won't do a new moon spread because that would be confusing. But I'll also tell you there is a new moon spread, but we're going to do a full moon spread because, as you probably know, we are now really close to the full moon in Leo, which is taking place today. So, yeah, let me just check the messages, see if anyone's reporting any issues or anything. Just everyone's saying hello. Makes so much sense. Thank you, Gaynor. I'm glad it makes sense. Ginny's coming to my workshop in Sydney. No, you're coming to my workshop in London, I think. Okay, all right. So let's now raise the vibration a little bit and, you know, start to kind of get into a slightly heightened state because that's where we can start to connect with the divine, connect with our magical powers. And I'm going to be talking a bit about manifesting today, or maybe quite a lot about manifesting and how to manifest with the new moon and the full moon. But to do that, you kind of need to be in a heightened state. Now, a recipe for a little new moon ceremony and what I do in my own ceremonies. We're going to do a full moon release ceremony today. But what I do, you can see I'm in my living room and I've got my yoga mat here, which you can see, I think. Now, I honestly feel that because the yoga mat is basically only ever used for doing yoga or meditation, I mean, call me crazy, and I know some of you will. No, but I feel like a yoga mat has a special vibration because it's used just for high vibrational work. It was my friend Rebecca De Bono who gave me the idea to sit on my yoga mat when I do my ceremonies, and I find it really powerful. Okay, so I roll out my yoga mat, you know, and if you use your yoga mat a lot, you can clean it. You can just get some essential oils and, you know, depending on which ones you want to use, there are various oils that will help you cleanse it. And any oils are going to raise the vibrations of it anyway. Lavender's quite nice because it smells really nice, but there are others which are probably more cleansing. And you just put it in a spray with some water and then just spray it and rub it down with a clean cloth. That's the way to keep your yoga mat clean if you're using a lot. But I say this is what I do. I roll out my yoga mat. I get my little table, which of course not everyone's going to have. I managed to pick this table up for something ridiculous, like about, I can't remember now, but it might have been 20 euros or, I mean, it might have been 50 euros, but whatever it was, I mean, I would have paid 100 or 200 euros for this table. I managed to pick it up in Amsterdam at their equivalent, the Happiness Festival, which is the equivalent of Mind Body Spirit Festival there. But if you've got a little low table, it can be really nice. You can probably get a little, you know, coffee table and saw its legs off if you're handy or you have a handy person in the house. And I light a candle. I usually will put on essential oils, but I haven't today purely because the slight whirring can be distracting for people on a webinar like this. I get my crystals out. My crystals are all up here today, actually, but you know, I usually get at least some pyrite if you use crystals. Pyrite is, it's actually good for abundance, and I like to think of it as an abundance of all good things. I've got an amethyst charging bed there. I've been doing the crystal grids a bit differently lately, you might have heard, just because it was getting a bit overwhelming trying to get new crystals every single month. But I'll go into that another time. But just to show you, because it's so beautiful, I do have this beautiful crystal wand. When I'm doing my crystal grids, I'll use that. But so let's get in the zone. If you've got any essential oil, okay, do you have essential oil? I use doTERRA. This is Whisper, which I particularly love. Whisper reminds me of the aromas at the ashram that I go to in India for some reason. I don't know why. Now, just one drop. One drop. Oh, there it went. If you've got some essential oil handy, one drop. It's very powerful if it's good oils. And let me just see if I've got something else I want to use. I've actually got some sage here as well. So now what we're trying to do before we start doing our magical work is raise our vibration, okay? Because basically, if you think about the law of attraction, like unto itself is drawn. So if you're wishing for something that's going to make you very happy and feel good, you have to be happy and feel good, okay? And then for today, we're going to be doing some release work as well. But if we can get ourselves into a good state, we're much more likely to be able to actually forgive, whatever's been happening, okay? So I'm breathing that in for everybody on everybody's behalf. I'm going to sage me, and I'm going to sage you too. I've seen tons of people saging through Facebook. And since everything is about intention, let's say if you hold the intention for this sage to clear your energy, then it will. Clear myself. Good thing about a yoga mat is that if you get bits of sage, it doesn't burn the mat. So if you don't know, white sage, which I've just got a bundle of white sage here, is cleansing and has been used for cleansing for, I think, hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. And they've actually now done tests because it's been, hippies and people like me saying use sage to cleanse yourself. But now they've done tests that it actually does kill bacteria in the room, for example, airborne bacteria. So a bit of sage is always a good thing. And now, one of my favourite moments, we're going to ring the bell, beautiful bell I bought at my ashram that I go to in India. Just let the sound wash over you. I'm going to call in the Divine Mother, the Archangels, Kuan Yin. And I always follow my instincts. My instincts are telling me that for everybody, all of us watching, let's call in Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael, please come to wherever we are. And we're going to ask Archangel Michael to clear out any negativity from wherever we are. So if you're in your home, this is for your whole home, okay? Your whole home. So what to do? Let's ask Archangel Michael to please fill our home or the room we're in or the building we're in or surround us if we're outside, for those of us outside. Surround us with white light. Just imagine Archangel Michael basically pulsing white light, which I think of as a kind of a toothpastey consistency. White light all through the entire house. So it goes through all the nooks and crannies, the cracks in the floorboards, under the floorboards, all through the house to the corners of the highest ceilings, filling up with white light to the front door, the hallways, the corridors, spaces under the stairs if you have them, up the stairs to the back room if you have one, if you're in a terrace like me, all through the room, bathroom, all fill it up with white light, the kitchen, all filled up, the bedrooms. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for filling our homes with white light. Okay, thank you, Archangel Michael. I just felt like doing that, so I did it. Wasn't in the plan. All right, so. And now I'm just going to do a short chant, okay? I'm going to do the chakra clearing chant that I do a lot. So if you've ever been to one of my workshops, you will have heard it. I got it from India. I was given it once. I forgot about it. I went back to India 3 months later. I was given the same chant as if to say, I gave you this already. Why aren't you doing it? So here we go. And by the way, you can only do this up to 10 times a day, okay? That's what they say because it's very powerful. It's a Bij mantra. So basically it clears the chakras. And yeah, it's super powerful, but very simple. So here we go. So close your eyes. Start to become aware of the rise and fall of your breath. And just breathe. And just listen to the mantra. Hari Om Nam Lam Mam Vam Sim Ram Mam Vam Vam Yam Yam Ham Shiva Om Swaha Hari Om Nam Lam Mam Vam Sim Ram Vam Ham Vam Yam Vam Ham Shiva Om Swaha Hari Om Nam Lam Mam Vam Sim Ram Vam Yam Yam Ham Shiva Om Swaha. There we go. Okay. I think we're in the zone. I think we're officially in the zone. So let's begin. So I wanted to start off by talking about how to use the diary, because this is a diary workshop bonus for everybody who bought the diary. So, and thank you for buying the diary. As I said, it's sold out across the UK, across Australia, across America. It's even sold out in places where it was translated, like France and Germany. A lot of people said to me, why don't you do 2 print runs? Because obviously Hay House publish it. And I'll tell you the reason, just, you know, so you know. It's because a print run actually takes about 6 weeks to organise. So by the time they find out, you know, in late December, say, this I think the diary sold out pre-Christmas this year. But, you know, by the time they find that out, if they were to order a new print run, the print run won't be available until around about February. And, you know, everybody's got their diaries by then, so it doesn't make sense to Hay House to do a second print run. So that's why I always say it's a limited edition, because it actually is a limited edition. And the 2021 one will be out in September. So if you love the diary and you want to use the 2021, I'll be putting it up for sale in September. I can see people are making comments. Let me just see what you're all saying. Alina says she loves the diary. Can I email the chant? Jessica, I can actually give you a link where you can actually download that chant from iTunes. Sung better than I just sang it by Dr. Kulreet Chowdhury. who's an amazing woman who I'm hoping is going to come and stay with me here in London in a little while. When she comes to London to do some workshops on healing with sound and vibration. If you're in London, highly, highly recommend doing it. That was intense. Oh, J.R. Cohn says, that was intense when you were chanting. I was hearing something like Morse code. Wow, indeed. Okay, so let's talk about the diary. So obviously we have the introduction where, and you know, we've got this. So if you haven't read this bit yet, read it. It's about how to understand the basics of the lunar cycle. You know, the more you work with the moon, the more you're going to understand how to work with the lunar cycle. And it just takes you through all the 8 phases: the new moon, crescent moon, first quarter, gibbous, full moon, disseminating moon, third quarter, and balsamic moon. And then there's a little explanation on page 4 of what we do at the new moon and what we do at the full moon. At new moon, we set intentions. At full moon, which is what we're dealing with here today, we practice forgiveness. And now let me just say quickly why we do forgiveness, because it's so important. We do forgiveness because it clears us out energetically, okay? So if we're all, you know, if we're all filled up with negativity, with you know, upset and dramas and jealousy or resentment or whatever, what we put out is what we get back. I'm sure you know that. It's the law of attraction. So we have to forgive, whether we forgive ourselves or we forgive someone else, whatever we do, it's really important. Once a month at full moon, and we're going to do it here today, we have to do forgiveness. We don't have to do it, but it actually serves us. And it serves our manifesting, because really there's no point in making lots of wishes at new moon if you are filled with anger and jealousy and upset, because all you're going to do is get back what you're putting out, which is anger, more anger, jealousy and upset, for example. So there's that. That's why we do full moon forgiveness, and we're going to do some here today. Okay, then it takes you through the signs of the zodiac. Yeah, it's all about, more about manifesting. Then we get the key lunar events of the year, talking about the super moons, or the new moons, the full moons, the super moons, and the eclipses. It's all pretty self-explanatory up to there. Now, this is something that some people have been confused about. This is the houses section, okay? Now, what's a house? So in your astrology chart, you have 12 sections, also known as 12 houses, okay? And they govern all the different parts of your life. I'm actually not going to do it today because, excuse me, even though we've got an hour and a half, I don't think we'll have time. But what you can actually do is you can fill out a planner, which I'm going to do a little workshop on eventually. And you can sort of do in advance where all the new moons are going to be for you around your chart. So your first house, for example, is appearances. Second house is cash, property and possessions. Third house is communications and short trips. Fourth house is home and family. I'm just giving you the headlines. Fifth house, romance, creativity and children. Sixth house, daily work and health. Seventh house, love, a big one for a lot of people, love and actually open enemies. Eighth house is sex and money. Ninth house, travel, adventure, legal matters, your life philosophies. 10th house, your career and reputation. It's all in here. You don't have to remember it. 11th house, friends and actually your hopes and wishes. And 12th house is the deepest, darkest, most mysterious part of your chart, includes fears and spirituality and self-sabotage. So as the new moon goes around your chart, when it goes around based on your star sign or your rising sign, you actually get a restart in every single part of your life once a month. And so if you want to work with the moon, what I suggest you do is you follow the links in the diary. Okay, there are links in the diary to get a free chart, okay? Now, the free chart, if you haven't already got it, I'll just tell you how to get it. I'll try and remember. I should put a list of all the things I'm promising to post afterwards. So someone wants a link to the chart, then I can post them all here. And then the free chart, I will give you the thing now, because you can do it while you're watching if you want. It's moonmessages.com, moonmessages.com / one word, free chart, moonmessages.com / free chart, okay? And you can get your chart done there, and then you know your rising sign, okay? So, or your ascendant. It tells you that it's the third thing, I think, on the first column of the results when it gives you your chart. And basically, once you know your rising sign, you can start to use the diary. So let me just skip ahead to that bit. You'll see that every new and full moon, you get a little section called what this lunation means for you, okay? What this lunation means for you. And so what that tells you is where in your chart the new moon or the full moon is taking place, okay? So is it in your love zone? Is it in your career zone? Is it in your friend zone? Where are you getting a new start? Or in the case of the full moon, where are you getting a climax or maybe a conclusion? Okay, so once you know, if you only know your star sign, then you can read that, okay? But I would highly recommend that you go to the address I just gave you, moonmessages.com/free chart, and cast your chart for free and find out your rising sign and then read that, okay? So for example, let's use today as an example. So we've got the full moon coming. Full moon in Leo, okay? Taking place tomorrow. In London, it's taking place at about 7:33 a.m. In Sydney, it's taking place on the 9th of February at 6:30 p.m. In Los Angeles, it's taking place on the 8th of February at 23:33. That's 11:33 p.m. Seems quite an auspicious number, actually. And in New York, it's taking place on the 9th of February at 2:33 a.m. So one thing I was talking about on my private Facebook group, which I know a lot of you are members of, someone was saying, is the full moon today or tomorrow? So let me just use London as an example because it's simple. So right now in London, it's 12:40 on the 8th of February. And the full moon is taking place at 7:30 a.m. on the 9th of February. So right now it's Saturday afternoon, and the full moon is taking place at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now, what that actually means is, in terms of going out and seeing the full moon, when's going to be best? Tonight, obviously, because by tomorrow night, the full moon will have sort of peaked, you know, not been and gone exactly, because we actually stay in the new moon phase for about 3 days, but the full moon will have peaked. So so tonight, the moon is going to look as full as she's going to look all month in the night skies, okay? I mean, in the case of Sydney, for example, because it's taking place on Sunday at 6:30 p.m., you probably won't see her. You might. Actually, you know, sometimes on an evening you'll still see the moon. But at 6:30 p.m, if you happen to see the moon in Sydney, very lucky, because that's 6:33. Okay, so that's the moment of the full moon. So yeah, I answered this person's question on Facebook, but the answer is the full moon is taking place tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. in London time, but it's going to be tonight that we're really going to feel her. So if you're doing a full moon ceremony, I would do it tonight, or just do it with me here now. But that's like the general rule of thumb, is I would say do it on the night that the moon is fullest. That said, we stay in the full moon phase for a couple of days, about 3 days after the full moon. It varies slightly. Basically, it's to do with the angle of the sun and the moon, and the moon moves 45 degrees, but you don't need to worry about that. Just know that you have a couple of days to do your full moon work. And, you know, some people say it's better to do it before the full moon. I kind of get that. But I also think in the case of the full moon, you can do it afterwards, because we stay in the full moon phase from an astrological point of view. So, yeah, so what you do, so in the case of the full moon in Leo, okay, which is the one for today. So, okay, so if you know your rising sign, listen to that, okay? So for Aries, it's taking place in your 5th house, okay? So there's a conclusion or climax coming in your 5th house, which is to do with romance, creativity, and children. For Taurus, it's in your 4th house of home and family, Taurus or Taurus rising. Gemini, your 3rd house, communications. Moonchild, Cancer, it's taking place in your second house of cash, property and possessions. Leo, it's your first house, so your whole life is up for a turning point because full moons bring turning points. Virgo or Virgo rising, it's your 12th house, which can be about eliminating fears actually, or a turnaround in your spiritual life. Libra or Libra rising, it's your 11th house, so it's like a turnaround for you in terms of your friends and also maybe a dream coming true, a wish coming true, or deciding to release a wish. Scorpio, it's 10th house. Now there's also a question of getting balances with the full moon. So like for Scorpio and Scorpio rising, it's about getting a balance between home and family life. Are you working so hard that you're running your family around your business, for example? If you're Scorpio or Scorpio rising, you don't want to do that. You want to get a balance. Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, 9th house. So it's very much about home and away and finding a balance between where you are and where you want to be. Capricorn, it's the 8th house. So it's crossing both your money zones like Cancerians, moon children. It's about turning the corner financially and getting a balance. Aquarius and Aquarius rising, it's your 7th house of love. So it's about getting a balance between, you know, you, and me. And that's actually the same for Leo people as well. Pisces and Pisces rising people, it's 6th house. So it's about finding a balance between all the duties you have to do every day and your need for inner peace and Zen and doing meditation practices and so on. So yeah, now Taurus and Taurus rising people, I should also mention that because I sort of didn't start talking about the balances required. For you, it's also a bit about a work-life balance. So yeah, so now what you would do, so if you're new to the astrology and you're new to the diary, so what you would do is every month you look at that section, what this means for you, and then you refer back to page 16, working with the houses. So, you know, just say for argument's sake, you're Libra rising or Libra, you say, okay, it's taking place in my 11th house, and it tells you full moons are about climaxes, and here it tells you what the 11th house means. It's friends and networks and wishes and so on. So you can actually use the diary to work out where in your chart each lunation is taking place, which is a really big deal. And I had to kind of argue quite hard to be allowed to put that in. But the thing is, once you start to learn astrology, and more people are learning astrology, you're going to realize how incredibly valuable it is to be able to do that. Because you start to, especially if you use your rising sign, it's actually like having an astrologer read your chart and say, okay, this is where you're getting a climax this month, or this is where you're getting, sounds funny, doesn't it? This is where you're getting a conclusion, a turnaround, you need to balance things this month, or this is where you're getting a new start in the case of the new moon. All right, so then you get the monthly sections, okay? So obviously, you know, we've put where the new and full moons are in the month, so you can kind of know that in advance. We've got the times, and I've got things to do based on the energies of the month. Now this is on the moon, but it's also on the astrology as well. So if there's a big thing happening in astrology, I mention it here in the kind of the monthly overview. And can I just say that this monthly overview was not included in the 2019 diary, and I asked people on Facebook actually for feedback, you know, what would they like to add to the diary, and this is one of the things that they said is they wanted a monthly overview. Okay, so I'm just want you to know your feedback matters, so thank you to the people who suggested that. I wanted it as well, and your asking for it kind of allowed me to give it, to say to Hey House, come on, let's do this, because everybody wants it and I do too. Now every day we have a section. Now, people have said to me, what do you use those sections for? Which we found very funny, because to us it was really obvious. You write your appointments in there. But it seems like people are not using this to write appointments necessarily. So one thing I recommend that you do is you write in there every day, how are you feeling? Are you feeling grateful? Are you feeling worried? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling a bit dodgy? What do you think you need to do? Are you making any commitments to yourself? Okay, that's what a lot of people have been doing, and I've been doing that a bit myself as well, actually. Okay, sorry, I can't stop that happening. Now, somebody else said to me, what do these little bits mean? Okay, these little sections here where we've got pictures, and I don't think maybe we didn't explain it, or maybe we did, I'm not sure, but basically the round circle bit shows you the moon phase, which you can relate back to the pictures of there, where we've got this section about the understanding the lunar cycle on page 2. So you can see which moon phase we're in, and then the little symbol, which in astrology we call a glyph, will tell you what sign the moon is in. So every day you can tell what sign the moon is in and what phase the moon is in. Now you might say, okay, but what about if I'm in Australia, or what about if I'm in, you know, another country? Basically, the moon phases are pretty much the same for everybody. You've got to remember, the moon is spinning around the earth as we spin around the sun, okay? So even though the time zones might be different, effectively, the moon changes signs at the same moment in time all over the planet. You know, if the moon moves into Pisces in Los Angeles at 10 a.m., at the same moment in time it's moving into Pisces in Australia. It's just going to be a different time on the clock. So even though there's a bit of a discrepancy between the times, overall you get, you know, it's the same thing everywhere in the world. So then obviously this is pretty easy, this section, you know, the full moon forgiveness lists, do the work, and then we have new moon wishing as well. The new moon wishes. Now with the full moon stuff, a lot of people say, you know, do I burn it? Because you are supposed to burn your full moon forgiveness lists, and people say, I don't want to burn it, and I'm like, burn it. Just burn it, rip it out and burn it. Now one last thing to say, on these pages, for example, the full moon in Leo, which is today, we also have a section that kind of describes this particular full moon. Now, if you've got my book, Moonology, this is my personal, very well-worn copy, you will know that in here, there's a section that tells you what the full moon in Leo is all about and gives you a very, hopefully quite comprehensive overall picture of what the full moon is all about, okay? However, every full moon is different to an extent, because, you know, one full moon might take place when Venus, the planet of love and abundance, is harmonizing with Jupiter, so that's going to be lovely. Or it might take place when Mars is clashing with Pluto, which is going to be much more jarring. So one of the reasons why I actually proposed to Hay House that I write this diary was for that very reason, because it's sort of like, it actually sits kind of perfectly with Moonology, because that gives you like the overall basic understanding that you need to understand each new moon through all the signs and the houses and so on. But this one can do what the other one can't, which is to then say, and in 2020 the full moon in Leo is doing such and such. So this one, for example, what have we got? Okay, so this week brings the full moon in Leo, so it's time to release pride, okay? And there's a bit of general information about the full moon in Leo. Pay attention. Is pride derailing you? If you know pride is getting in your way, then work on that. And there's a bit more information about that. I'm not going to read it because you've all got the book, hopefully. Now is also the time of the month to surrender. Now, this is where it gets kind of a bit more 2020 personal. There's also a strong healing vibration in the air this week, as just after the full moon, we get a link between Venus, the planet of love, caresses and femininity, and Chiron, the healing planetoid, okay? So this is a healing week. If you've fallen out with someone you care for, now is the time to reach out and make peace and so on. And then there's also always an exercise. So, and there's more information. I've just read you a couple of sentences. But basically it helps you understand this particular full moon. Okay, so I hope that helps you to get the most out of the diary, okay? All right, so now let's talk about this full moon in particular, okay? I've just touched on it, but let's talk about it at a bit more length. So here is, for those of you who like such things, which I do, here is the chart. That's what astrologers use. We use a chart for the full moon. So that's a chart for the full moon taking place tomorrow morning, 7:33 a.m. London time. I've told you the other times all over the world. And we see it's a full moon in Leo. Now, the really good thing about this full moon, I think, is that it's making a harmonious aspect to Mars in Sagittarius. So it's quite good for energy. Hopefully those people who are feeling a bit down and depressed and low on energy will be energized by this full moon. And as I also said, just after the full moon, we get this lovely link between Venus and Chiron. So it's a very healing full moon. And you could also say Venus is making something of a cautious alliance with Uranus as well just after the full moon, which is good for love. It's good for online love, actually. If you're sexy and single and looking for love, very good time to go online and see if you can meet someone. So the full moon, it's kind of an easy full moon, and let's say it's a healing full moon. And I think so if you want to use this full moon energetically, I would say think about what in your life you need to heal, okay? What in your life you need to heal. Now, nearly all of us have something we need to heal, okay? How do you heal it? Well, you heal it by doing a full moon forgiveness ceremony, and I will get to that quite soon. Okay, so this is, by the way, just so you can see the houses. I was talking about the houses, the love zone, the career zone and all that. That's something I'm going to do a little workshop on this quite soon, so you can learn how to work with all the houses. All right, so let's talk about first of all the eclipses of the year ahead. If I can find my piece of paper. Okay, I think it's this one actually. So again, here's a list. That's what it looks like. Astrology is amazing. Like, I really recommend working with it. Actually, I'll give you a link to my free 3-part mini astrology course as well, part astro. Because if you're into astrology, it's free, and it will also give you access to my big course, but it's free and you can just do the basics and start to understand. So what we have this year are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eclipses. 6 eclipses. We've already had one. We had the full moon eclipse in the sign of Cancer on the 10th of January. And we're not going to get another eclipse until the middle of the year, June. Now, that eclipse is going to take place in the sign of Sagittarius. Let me just check something here. All right, so yeah, it's 15 degrees of Sagittarius. So if you know your chart, or if you were born in the middle of the Sagittarius period, in the middle, so about 15 days in, so probably about the 10th of the month, then it's going to be hitting you. Now, the full moon, the eclipse in Sagittarius is basically, sorry guys, I'm just looking for my cursor here. Let's have a look at it. So the full moon in Sagittarius is actually going to be taking place when Venus is retrograde, okay, which is really interesting. I'll talk about Venus retrograde in a minute as well. But basically, having an eclipse when Venus is retrograde is kind of a big deal. Venus is the planet of love and abundance and relating, and eclipses are about letting go, okay? So when Venus is going backwards, retrograde, and we get an eclipse, full moon, it can be a really good time to clear out issues from the past. Now, you know, I just from a personal point of view, I have lots of issues from the past, from past relationships, some of which I've actually started to talk about lately. I don't know if you've seen me writing about them a bit. You know, I've been married to my beautiful husband for about, 13 years now, or 14 years. And but I still have things from past relationships where I can see things that happened in the past are affecting me now. So it's things like that I can think, okay, you know, come the middle of the year, I know I'm going to be in a state of mind, I'm going to be in a good state of mind to start to release all that kind of stuff, okay? So there's that one. Now, the one after that is, I won't go all through the new and full moons, but I do want to go through all the, I will go through new and full moons basically, but I just want to go into slightly more detail for the eclipses because there's, you know, there's only a few and they're really important. Now, the one after the 5th of June, full moon in Sagittarius, on the 21st of June, we get the new moon in the sign of Cancer, Moonchild. Now, this is another really big, important eclipse. I mean, all eclipses are important in my mind. They are, I like to say they're when the universe changes gears. Okay, so think of it like, excuse the sound effects, but you get the idea. It's about when we start to take off into a new direction, a new part of life. It's a big, big thing. And eclipses will basically shove you back onto the path. Whatever path you need to be on in life, they will shove you back onto the path that you were meant to be. Now, how painful a process that is kind of depends on how resistant you are being to the changes that you know you need to make. Now, one of the reasons why this new moon eclipse, which will be in the diary, of course, but one of the reasons why this new moon eclipse is big is because it's taking place at 0 degrees of Cancer, okay? I call it 0 degrees of Moonchild, well, except not in the diary because Hay House don't like me to call Cancer Moonchild because they think it's a bit strange and people won't get it. And they probably won't because I get lots of people saying, why do you call Cancer Moonchild? I'm like, well, isn't it obvious? Anyway, now on the chart, on an astrology chart, there are 4 points which are super powerful. There's the Aries point, which is 0, 0 of Aries. There's 0, 0 of Cancer, 0, 0 of Libra, and 0, 0 of Capricorn. They're kind of like supercharged points. And Aries point is probably the most supercharged because it's the first degree of the zodiac, but so is 0, 0 degrees of Cancer, a big, important charge point. And this this new moon is taking place right on 0, 0 degrees of Cancer. Now, this is what I think, and I don't know if I've gone into it in the diary because it's a bit complicated and maybe slightly weird for people. I would have done much more accessible information in there, hopefully. But what's interesting here is that we're getting this powerful eclipse on a powerful degree. And, you know, what's going on with women right now? There's a renaissance going on for women, don't you think? Have you noticed what's happening? I mean, the whole situation for women is changing, you know, even down to the fact that, you know, we're not doing the waif-like supermodels who look emaciated that you have to starve yourself anymore. It's more acceptable to be a little bit more buxom. And I mean, I would say that's a lot thanks to the Kardashians. I know that lots of people despise the Kardashians, which I think it's a shame to despise anyone, frankly. And, you know, my husband and son make endless fun of me because I actually quite enjoy watching them because I find them funny and I'm slightly fascinated by that whole LA glamour thing. But also, you know, and even, I mean, I know they do a lot of plastic surgery, I suppose. I don't know. I don't follow them around. But at the same time, you know, they did bring curves back into style. Like women are, I mean, okay, so I know it's kind of a mixed bag because I think some people use waist trainers now, don't they? So they get that hourglass thing. And, you know, allegedly Kim's had something injected in her butt, which is just beyond me, like why anyone would want to make their butt bigger. But at least the overall effect is that it's now acceptable to have womanly curves. And if you ever do any even basic studies of goddesses and look up some of the goddess statues that have been found buried in archaeological digs around the world, you'll see the goddesses are all shaped like that. They're not shaped like that. And, you know, not being mean to people who are naturally skinny, you know, like some people are just born shaped really skinny, like a pencil. And, you know, that's not criticizing you, but for many years it's been unacceptable
not to be looking like a pencil. The only acceptable thing was to sort of be as skinny as a rake, and that's great if you're naturally that, but if you have to starve yourself, I mean, I remember talking to, when I was a journalist, I remember interviewing someone who was a model at the Paris Fashion Week event, and you know, she told me about girls who ate cardboard. They ate cardboard in Fashion Week so that they would quell their hunger but not gain weight. Okay, so it's been a kind of a thing. Now, women with shape are coming back into fashion, okay? We've had the Me Too movement. And when we had Venus retrograde a couple of years ago, I can't remember now the signature exactly, but I remember thinking this is the new start for women. And sure enough, we've had the whole Me Too situation. We've got just women going through a thing. You know, we must all accept we've all been going through a thing. Oh, I have to restart my Instagram thing by the looks of it. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I'm not quite sure how to do this. Oh, dear. Well, I'm really sorry, but I don't know how to do that. Everyone's going to get a link for the replay. We're now just on Facebook. Sorry about that, Instagram. So anyway, this eclipse in June 21, which is actually the solstice as well, of course, and, you know, big important time. It's taking place at 0 degrees of Cancer, and Cancer is kind of like, I think you could argue, the most feminine of all signs. It's ruled by the moon, which represents femininity, and the goddess. So I think we are seeing yet another step in women, the changing roles of women. And if I could just say, you know, for a long time, I think women were trying to compete with men on their terms, on the male terms. And I think one of the best examples of this was, God bless her, I know people hate her, but I didn't, Hillary Clinton. And what did she do? She went around wearing pantsuits. Now, I'm not criticizing Hillary. I was all for Hillary because I wanted my son, who's 13, I wanted him to see a woman in the White House, frankly. Yeah, so, you know, God bless Hillary. But she was competing with men on their terms by wearing pantsuits, by being, you know, in her masculine. And we need to be in our feminine. So, anyway, that's my little diatribe on the June 21 solar annular eclipse. It's going to be one to watch out for, and I'll be celebrating it here with you guys, either here or on the Hay House page. Sorry for going on for so long. Then we get the full moon eclipse in the sign of Capricorn, which is interesting as well. Here we go. Let's have a look. View chart. And this one, yeah, this one is interesting as well because it's actually taking place triggering the Jupiter-Pluto-Saturn alignment, which is taking place. So basically, the middle of the year is hot, okay? And again, refer back to the diary. You'll get all the information as we go. But the middle of the year is hot in terms of the chance for us to grow as people. You know, I believe we're here on this planet to grow, and, you know, all these eclipses are going to really help us. And then we don't get another eclipse after that until the 30th of November. What I'm looking at here are charts, like I showed you the chart for today. I'm just looking at the charts for the actual full moons. Okay, so the full moon will take place in the sign of Gemini, the full moon eclipse. And what's actually quite nice here is Mercury going forwards is going to be harmonizing with Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn. So it's kind of, if the middle of the year is a bit discombobulating, this eclipse, so this is the 30th of November, it's going to help us bring things back into balance, and communication is going to be the key. But we'll get to all that as the year unfolds. And finally, we end the year with the new moon eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius, and it's a bit annoying, frankly. It would be much better if the new moon eclipse would be obedient and take place at the start of the new year, because, you know, we all want to be doing our new year stuff under the new moon eclipse. However, it didn't happen this year, it's not happening. It didn't happen last year, it's not happening this year either. We have to actually do a lot of new moon stuff at the end of the year if you want to work with the eclipse, and then we can do it again with the new moon in the sign of Capricorn a month later. But yeah, that's the new moon in Sagittarius on December the 14th. And just looking at it here, it's kind of emphasizing communications again, and it's again making a cautious alliance with Pluto, so good chance for last minute change for the year. But basically, the other thing I'd like to point out, so these are the high points of the year when change is really possible. Look at June in particular and early July for change, and the end of the year as well. But also, if you are one of the signs, or you have it rising, or you have your moon in that sign, if you're a moon child, Cancerian, Capricorn, because we're getting the full moons, Sagittarius or Gemini, if you are one of those signs, or you have one of those signs rising even more, excuse me, it's a big year for you, because if you got the eclipses happening, it means that this is your chance for change. So where in your life do you want to change? I mean, that's basically what you have to ask yourself, is where in your life do you want to change? Now, I said I would tell you about the overall themes of the year, but before I do that, and I will do that, I also just want to talk you through the new and full moons of the year. And I'm going to be brief here because you've got the diary and they're all in there. But essentially, we've just had the new moon. We've had the new moon in Aquarius. We've had the full moon. Sorry, they're all the new moons. I wanted to get a list of... Yeah, okay. I have to do them separately because I've done all the... Let me just see. Sorry, guys. No, I'll just use this sheet. Okay. So we started the year with the full moon eclipse in Cancer in January. We're having, then tomorrow we're having, it's full moon in Leo. So, you know, look in the diary and you'll see where that's taking place. So there's a conclusion coming for you. I'm driving myself mental because I've done this a really weird way. Sorry, guys. I'll go through the full moons first, okay? So then, yeah, we get the full moon in Leo, then we get the full moon in Virgo in March. In April, we get the full moon in Libra, which, by the way, Libra is a sign of relationships, so it's a time to work on relationships. The full and new moon in Libra are always kind of special because we have that extra sort of kick of it being about relationships, and basically life's about relationships, isn't it? Even if it's about relationship with ourselves. May 7, we get the full moon in Scorpio. June 5, we get the full moon eclipse in Sag, which I've mentioned. Then we get the full moon in Capricorn, which is a big one, in July. In August, we get the full moon in Aquarius. September, the full moon in Pisces. And then in October, we get the full moon in Aries. So that's the start of the lunar cycle. So we're kind of back to the beginning again. And then they just go October, November, December, Taurus, Gemini, Sag, and then in fact we get a full moon on the 30th of December as well in the sign of Cancer. So there are no double full moons, which is one thing to know, but they're all in the diary. The reason why I kind of wanted to run through them like that was because we do actually get 2 new moons in the same sign, I believe, this year. And that can be a bit confusing for people. So let's look quickly. We've had the new moon in Aquarius. We've had that. We get the new moon in Pisces on the 23rd of February, when I'll be doing a new moon ceremony online, probably on the Hay House page, and that's when I'm also going to be doing my Taurus stuff for reasons that I won't go into now, but I'm actually going to do stuff for all the signs. Don't worry if you're not Taurus. So March 24 brings the new moon in Aries, and as I'm sure I will have said in the diary, that's the time to start your new moon practices if you've fallen off the wagon, okay? Because it's the first new moon in the first sign of the zodiac. Then we get the new moon in Taurus on the 23rd of April, and I'm 90% sure I'm going to launch my new membership area either on the new moon in April or the new moon in May, which is in Gemini. We get the new moon in Cancer, which I mentioned. And then we get, so on the new moon in Cancer, we get on the 21st of June, But then on the 20th of July, we actually get another new moon in Cancer. So a lot of people get very confused when they see there are 2 new moons in the same sign in a row. Now that's because, as I said to you, the new moon eclipse in Cancer takes place at 0 degrees of Cancer, okay? There's 0 degrees, and there's 30 degrees in the sign. So a month later, the new moon takes place at 28 degrees of Cancer. Okay, that's what I wanted to sort of flag for you. Then August in Leo, September in Virgo, October in Libra. So once again, that's that relationship moon when the new moon is in Libra. Very good time to work on your relationships. November, Scorpio, and then we actually get 2 new moons in November, which it will have some kind of weird name like a blue moon or a black moon or something. It's not astrology, it's more folklore. So yeah, that'll be... So basically it means November's a really important month. It doesn't have astrological meaning in a way, but in a way it does, because you can say, well, in November we get 2 new moons, therefore we get double the chances to work on ourselves and to work on our intentions. And then we get the new moon eclipse in the middle of December. So that's the list. And I hope that was a bit useful to you. I know it was a bit scattered, and they all are in there. But what I especially wanted to point out was where we've got the double Cancer, moon child, new moon, and just to give you an overview. Now, still got a bit to get through. I think what I'm going to do now, because we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes, I want to do the spread of the cards. Okay, so if you're watching this and you have a question, now is the time to think of it, and we're going to do a new moon spread. And you can do new moon spreads every single month, okay? But if you're watching this is for you. This is for you. You. And as I say that, I'm pointing to myself as well, because I can see myself in my camera as I do this live. Okay. So these are my Moonology cards. Obviously, you can use any cards you want, but these cards are gorgeous. Everybody says they love them practically. They're designed by the beautiful Nyx Rowan, who's a Canadian designer, whose pictures are also on the cover of my both my diaries so far, and hopefully will be on my new diary. Okay, so now, how to do a new moon spread. If you have the book, if you have the cards rather, it's on page 18. So, there are 3 cards that you need, okay? What's rising up in me, the main message of the new moon, and the final outcome, okay? So, think about your number 1 pressing issue of the moment. Sorry, when I get messages on my phone, which I cannot turn my phone off, I can't turn my phone off while I'm doing these, and the messages come through and then they get stuck. So, what's rising up in me? Now, you know what's rising up in you. Think about that. That's the issue that's going to be addressed by the cards. What's your biggest issue at the moment? What's the main message of the new... I'm sorry. I've just realised I'm doing a new moon spread. Did anyone bother to tell me? Not bother, anyone think to tell me. I'm doing a new moon spread because I love them. It's a full moon spread we're doing. Full moon spread. So the full moon spread... Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Lucky I realised. The full moon spread is actually on the same page if you have the cards. It's a full moon 3-card spread. Okay, so... completely different. The new moon is what's rising up in me. The full moon is what's falling away. And we're about to have the full moon. So what is falling away? So card 1 is what's falling away? What do I need to forgive? What does the full moon want me to know, basically? And what comes next? All right. Sorry about that. Okay, what is falling away and what do I need to forgive or release? This is for all of us. For you, card 1. Think about what you need to let go of. Just think about it now. Okay? Card 2, what is the full moon showing me or telling me? Okay? What's the full moon telling me? Having one of those moments where I have to choose between 2 cards, and what comes next? All right, are you ready? What is falling away? What do I need to forgive or release? Oh, beautiful. I know it's backwards, but you can see the picture. It says a time for healing. Okay. Right. What is the illuminated full moon card showing me? Full moon showing me. Now this is interesting because I actually was asking about the same issue I have in my head now yesterday, and this is a card I got, and here it is again. Confidence is the key. Okay. Now I find that interesting because what that card says to me is what you believe to be true is true for you. You know, like whatever it is you're handling, being confident is your key to success. Okay, and that's, you know, confidence activates the law of attraction. And then what comes next? That's actually a really good card as well. It's the North Node. It says step out of your comfort zone, but basically what it is, this North Node card is all about having the courage and the confidence to do something a bit different. Okay, so what comes next is that whatever it's going to take for you to take that bold move to release whatever it is you want to release, it's coming. So overall, I would say that's an extremely positive spread. But the message is whatever you want to release, be confident that you can do it and step out of your comfort zone. That's it. All right, I would like to take a photo of that, but I'll have to, let me add that to my list. I'll give you photos of the cards because, you know, you might want to reflect on them later. Okay, now, we are almost out of time, amazingly enough. But I wanted to, for one thing, I just wanted to mention two things about the new and full moon ceremonies, okay? Now, we are going to do a full moon forgiveness sort of moment in a moment. But full moon ceremonies and rituals, full moon, which is where we are now in the cycle, it's a time to release negativity. It's a time to release fear, and it's a time to get rid of anything in your life that you no longer want. So as soon as we move into the waning cycle, that's the time to do that. Letting go will do us good karmically, but it also clears us out energetically, which is really important 2 weeks from now when we do the new moon wishes, because we will be clearer as people. And when we clear, so maybe put in the comments if you dare, obviously if it's too personal, we don't, but if you want to, put in the comments, what are you releasing? Okay, what are you releasing this full moon? What is your intention to release? And when you put it in writing like that, it's really kind of like putting your colours on the mast sort of thing. And so do that now if you dare. And we are going to do forgiveness because forgiveness just releases everything. Okay? Now, just because I wanted to give you a bit of a balance view, even though it's not the new moon, I wanted to mention new moon in 2 weeks' time. So you get a new moon or a full moon every 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, today, tomorrow, we have the full moon. In 2 weeks' time, approximately, we'll get the new moon. The new moon is a time to set down intentions for the month ahead, if you didn't already know. It's all in the diary. It tells you everything in here that you need to know about this. But it's a time to really get clear on your intentions, okay? I can see people filling that in. That's great. I'm releasing the pain, guilt, resentment, anger, negative thinking. Yeah, all that, great. Has to go. It's so good to release it, to consciously create the releasing of it. So the new moon in 2 weeks' time for new goals, new intentions, making wishes. And I would just say, remember that writing down your goals makes things, makes it easier. So I'm just going to I'm going to take us through the full moon formula for forgiveness, which if you have my diary, if you have my book Moonology, it's actually in there, and I think I'm going to read it from here because I love this book. So we've only got, can you believe, 8 minutes left. We're going to do a bit of a full moon ceremony. Now, what I would ask you to do First of all, normally I'd say write it down, but I didn't tell everyone to bring a pen and paper. So some of you are not going to have a pen and paper. I actually don't. Normally I would, when I sit down to do my rituals, I will have a journal and a pen. But I did it today. I kind of thought of it as I went. It's actually up on that shelf, but not everyone's going to have one. So I'm going to ask you to kind of join me in a little meditation. I'm going to put on some music actually, because that will make things even more beautiful for us. I'm going to put on my friends Edo and Joe, who have given me permission. It's Edo, E-D-O, and Joe, who've given me permission to play their music anytime, anywhere. Oh. Okay, so what's happening there is I'm getting reverb of me talking on Facebook. So I'll put the music on in a minute. Because it really is beautiful, and we'll listen to it for a bit after I'll speak, and then we'll have a moment of reflection, and then we'll do the full moon forgiveness ceremony. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you can sit comfortably wherever you are. I mean, I cross my legs, but that's just because it's the most comfortable way for me to sit, and always has been. Must have been a yogi in a former life. And I put my thumb and four fingers together, and again, I don't know why, no one told me to do that. I've seen my teacher in India do it, I suppose. And there are all sorts of different, they're called mudras. There are all sorts of different mudras you can do, but I just do this simple one. So we're going to end today's proceedings with a full moon forgiveness moment, because that will clear us out. And that's what we need to do every month at the full moon. We need to do an energetic clear out so we can be energetically healthy. Get it? Does that make sense? It's really simple. All right, so close your eyes and start to become aware of the rise and fall of your breath. Oh, I've just realized what I can do. You see, as soon as I close my eyes to meditate, it's, things make sense. That's the thing about meditation. It's like you get clarity. As soon as I close my eyes, it came to me, all I have to do is mute Facebook and I can still play the beautiful music that I wanted to play. But that's like a really good example of why we should meditate, because as soon as you close your eyes and get centered, answers come. And it might be something kind of, strange, like, if I mute Facebook, I can play the music. Or it might be, the solution to a problem you've got. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like literally answers come when we sit down, close our eyes and get centered. Okay? So here we go. Now I can put the music on. I'll just turn it down a little bit. Hope you can hear it. I think you can hear it. Can you hear it? Can you let me know if you can hear it? Someone's saying, where can we find the link to replay? I will send that out to everybody who bought the diary. You will get a link for the replay of this video. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Let me know. There's a bit of a delay on Facebook. Yes, okay, good. Close your eyes and breathe. Obviously this song wanted to play itself. It's actually to Ganesha. What does Ganesha do? Removes obstacles. Perfect for the full moon when we release our resistance. Just close your eyes and breathe. And just bring to mind whatever obstacle in your life you are now ready to release. Just bring it to mind. I'm just picturing mine and I'm putting it outside. right. So now I'm going to read you the full moon forgiveness formula, which is adapted from the work of Catherine Ponder and Charles Fillmore from the Unity Church in America, but I changed the words with their permission. Well, with Catherine Ponder's permission. Charles Fillmore's no longer with us. Here we go. Close your eyes, keep them closed, just breathe. And repeat after me out loud or in your head. Under the glorious full moon, I forgive everything, everyone, every experience, every memory of the past or present that needs forgiveness. I forgive positively everyone. And do that if you can. I'll explain in a minute why. I forgive positively everyone. I also forgive myself of past mistakes. The universe is love, and I am forgiven and governed by love alone. Love is now adjusting my life. Realizing this, I abide in peace. I bring love and healing to all my thoughts, beliefs, and relationships. I learn my lessons and I move on. I call on my soul fragments to be cleansed by the full moon, and I call on them to rejoin me. Love is now adjusting my life. I send love to myself and everyone I know and everyone who knows me in all directions of time. Under this glorious full moon, I am healed, my life is healed, and so it is. So be it. Put your hand on your heart chakra, between your breasts. So be it. All right, so I'm just going to say quickly before we go, why do we forgive everyone? Because some people have had heinous things done to them. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because it's for you, not for the person you're forgiving. Okay, it clears you energetically of it. It means you can go forwards in your life without feeling the pain of whatever happened. So just in case you hesitated, let's say that line again. I forgive positively everyone. I also forgive myself of past mistakes. The universe is love, and I am governed by love alone. Love is now adjusting my life, realizing that I abide in peace. So there you are. I hope that was helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you get absolutely tons. Oh, I didn't do the Mercury retrograde dates. I'm sorry, I was going to do the Mercury retrograde dates as well. I will put them on the email that you will get, Mercury retrograde dates. I will put them on the email, and the Venus retrograde dates as well. So you know in advance when they are. I'll put all that on the email for you. I'm going to end. Thank you for all the beautiful love hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love doing this stuff. You know, it makes me sit down. You know, we're all so busy. It's very easy to think, oh, I'm so busy. You know, I've got so much to do. I can't possibly spend an hour and a half thinking about the full moon. And then I do it for you guys. But I actually do it for myself too, because I get so much out of it. Working with the moon has changed my life, and it can change your life too, okay? That's just how it goes. So I'm being guided to end with a 3-line, a friend calling me, a 3-line chant, which is Om Namo Narayani, which means I surrender to the divine, or I surrender to the Divine Mother, okay? It's actually a chant used throughout India, but also at the ashram where I go, which is how I know it. So I'm going to end with that. Here we go. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. All right, now what I'm going to ask you to do is blow a kiss to everybody in the group who's been watching this. Lots and lots of love. Thank you for being a part of this. Hope you've had a good time. I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Thank you, and I will speak to you later.